So now let's talk about the page layout and a couple of key fields. So where I'm going to direct your attention to is just over here in the details bit. And there's a couple of fields here that you really need to know. So you need to know the case number. And the reason that the case number is so important is that every single case that's created in Salesforce is going to have a unique reference number, which is the case number. So in this case, it's 1016. We then have the contact name and the account name, so we can see where they're linked to. We can see the type of case and the case reason. Again, these two are picked lists, so you can change the values in here. We have the status and the priority, which again are picked list fields, so you can change them. We have the contact phone number and the contact email address. And what you'll notice is these are formula fields. So these are being pulled from the contact there. We then have the case origin, so that's where the cases come from. We then have a couple of fields here, which is web email, web name, web company, and web phone. And they're actually populated when a case is created using a web form, which again, we're going to cover later on, but just know that they're there. We have the date, time that it was open and the date, time that it was closed. We have who it was created by and the last modified date. And then we have the subject, the description, and internal comments as well. And as you've probably seen already, we have a feed here. So if we want to make any notes in here, put an example note. So it's just like chatter. So we just put example note and it'll be made there as well. And again, this is just chatter, which means you can just notify someone and it will pick them up and you can mention them in there as well. So next, let's talk about list views. So we're just going to head back to cases again. And you can see we have our standard list views, which we've got here. And as you know, we can move between them as we want. And I know we have covered this earlier on, but we're just going to do a quick overview of it again. We can go to creating a new list view by hitting new there. So we've gone to the gear icon, hit new list view, and we're going to put this as in cases from emails. So what I'm going to do here now is create a list view for a case from an email. I'm going to put that only I can see this list view, and I'll hit save. Next, I'm going to go across to my filters, and I'm going to hit add filter, and we're just going to go to case origin, and we're going to set that it equals email. So what that's going to do now is look at all of the cases that I own and look at the ones which the case origin is email. Now, normally you would set, closed equals true or false. So you're only looking at either open cases or closed cases. But in this case, you can see we actually don't have any cases from emails. So let me just change that to case from phone. So we'll get rid of that. We'll hit save. So as you can see, we now have a list of cases where the case origin equals phone. But the name's a little bit wrong. So what we'll do now is just go to the list view controls. We'll go into rename and we're just going to change this as cases from phone origin. And we'll just hit save there. So as you can see, we now have that list view. So another really cool feature about cases, and this is for leads and a lot of other objects as well, is you can actually create queues. So to do that, we just need to go into Salesforce setup again. And this time we're going to type in queue. Now, why would you use a queue? Well, the main reason that you would use a queue is that if you want a central pot where all the cases are going to sit and you have a case support team, and then what they do is the case support team will look at whatever cases need dealing with and they'll just pick and choose them and they'll start working them. So it works really well when you're talking about having different types of teams. You might have a technical team and you might have a maintenance team that look after different cases. But for now, we're just going to look at the example of an escalated case. So we're going to hit new. For the label, we're just going to call it as escalated cases. We're going to leave the queue name as it is. The queue email, we're going to leave blank. And we're going to leave the send email to members blank as well, so unchecked. For the object, we need to select case. So we need to add that across. And then we just need to select ourselves as a member for this queue. And then we'll just hit save. So if we head back to Salesforce now, and I'm just going to force Salesforce to refresh just by reloading the service app. If we head to cases and we look at the list view, you'll see that we now have a list view for escalated cases, which is our queue. So how does this work? How does this work in terms of wanting to take a case that is assigned to this queue? Well, let's create a case that's going to sit on this queue for now. So we'll hit new. For the contact, we're just going to put in Stella. And the account is going to be United Gas and Oil Corp. Status, we're going to set as escalated. Priority, we'll put as high. and case origin, we're just going to put as phone. Now, I'm just going to leave the rest empty. And just so you know, we are going to cover this in a later video, is we could set an assignment rule to automatically assign these cases that are created with whatever criteria we say. So in this case, an escalated criteria for status. We can then have them automatically put on the correct queue. But for now, we're just going to save this and we're just going to manually change the owner. So you can see that we're the case owner. We're just going to hit that button there. And then we're just going to change the case owner to the escalated queue. And we'll just hit that. That'll now save that. And what you'll see is the case owner is going to change to escalated cases. So there we have it there. So let's head back to our list view. And we're going to head to escalated cases. And we can see that we have the case that we created just sat on that queue. But what about if we want to take ownership and we want to start working that case? It's pretty simple. We just hit that checkbox there. We go across to accept. We hit accept. And then what you'll notice is we're now going to become the proud owner of the case. So if we head back to my open cases, you'll see that we now have that case to work with. And you can see in the feed as well that we've taken ownership of that case just now. So that gives you quite a high level introduction into, the case page overview, list views and queues. And one last thing I want to cover in this video before we move on to anything else is case hierarchies. Now, case hierarchies work very, very similar to how account hierarchies work in terms of you have a parent and then you can have child cases underneath them. So let's set that up. In order to set that up, we actually need a field over here that we can work with. Because at the moment, we don't have the parent case field, which means we can't actually set up case hierarchies. So we just need to head into setup. We're going to go to the object manager. For the object, we're going to search for case. We'll open that up and we'll head to case page layouts. Now, as we know from earlier on, we're using the case layout. So we'll open that one up. And then we're going to have a look for this field here, which is the parent case. And we're just going to drop that in just so you can see it there. And we'll hit save. So we'll head back into Salesforce again. We're going to force the page to refresh by just relaunching the service app. And then we're just going to go across to the cases. We'll look at the recent case we had, which was 1026. And you'll see we now have the field for parent case. We're just going to edit that and we're just going to search for a case which will put us 1002. And we'll just hit save. And then what we can do is if we click this drop down and we go to view case hierarchy, you can actually see the hierarchy of the cases. So you can see that 1026 is a child of 1002. So again, that just gives you a nice, easy way to manage cases in terms of you have one big overriding case for a company that may be, say internet connections down, and then you might start getting multiple cases underneath that you can then just associate to it so you know they're all part of a bigger case.